before I get started in the backyard forage today, I want to show you a couple of things. This is a fire steel, one of the ones that we sell. Hopefully you can see that. This is a rat tail design. This is the ones they were using around the trade era, you know, mountain men, whatnot. And what it's for is fire lighting. See if we can find a piece of chert. You can use several different rocks with it. Chert's a common one, flint's a common one. They actually call them flint and steel. You can use quartz, which is very readily available down here, also is chert. But what you do is it strikes against your rock. Like I said, it has to be specific rocks, it has to be harder than this, because what's happening here is you're shaving bits of this steel off, and they're igniting in the air to make sparks. Like that. Of course, you can see them better at night. But see, it's throwing pretty good sparks. Made of high carbon steel. I leave mine in the natural state instead of shining them up or grinding them or anything like that, because I want them to look like, you know, like they would have back then. Nobody was going to shine this thing up. They just weren't. That's what your fire steel is going to look like. This one's a full size. Hold it in your hand like so. Strike like that. I also make miniature ones, which I really like the miniature ones because all you need is a small piece of steel, and you can carry it smaller. And typically, if you're camping or backpacking or whatever, you just need a smaller piece. But today, we're going to talk about the ingredients that you need to go with this to make this actually work. One of those ingredients, like I said, was the stone. So, chert, flint, quartz. Those are the three that I've used, and I typically use chert because it's readily available here and easy to find. And it's also useful to make knives out of in an emergency situation, or arrowheads. The second thing that you need to get it going is char cloth. Now what char cloth is 100% cotton that has been carbonized but not consumed by the fire. And now how we affect that and make that happen is we take bits of a shirt, just make sure it's 100% cotton, whatever. You cut it into squares, about like so, about 1.5 or 2 inches, something like that. And you pile these up inside of something that you can control so that you can let gases out, but it won't burn it up. So I use an old Altoids tin. This one's really old and I've used it quite a few times. You just punch a tiny little hole in the top so that it can off gas. You fill this thing pretty much full of those little pieces right there, and then you put it in a fire and you let it just cook for a while. And that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to cut up some more pieces, fill this thing up, and then we'll cook it in the fire. We'll make some char cloth, and then we'll strike it up in a little bit and show you how that works. So what we're doing here is we've got these squares of cloth like that, 100% cotton, of course. We're just laying them in there like this, so they kind of overlap a little bit, but this way they're easier to pull apart when they're charred because they get a little fragile. So we're just laying them in like that, and then another one just barely overlapping, and that's about as many as I'm going to put in there. That's all I have cut, but of course I've got plenty more to cut up here. Then you just close your top here, build us a fire, and we'll put it in there. So at this point, after you've got them all in there, let me see here. Put them all in there like that. Build yourself a modest fire. I decided to do it in the barbecue grill instead of doing it in the forge tonight because I want everybody to see that they could actually do it too. And you can totally just use barbecue briquettes or whatever kind of coals you use. Just get you a modest little fire going, get you a little bit of coals built. Pop that right in there like that. You put some pieces on top of it. Stir that around a little bit. And I'll add a little bit of wood and coal to the top of it because you really want it to cook for about 20 minutes at a decent heat so that can get really good and carbonized. So I'm probably going to put some more wood over this area here and let that catch and just let it go for about 20-30 minutes or until the fire burns out. As you can see now, see the smoke coming out of that little hole there? Maybe. See if I can tighten it in. The smoke coming out of that tiny little hole there? That's what's happening. It's carbonizing in there and letting the gases out. That's what we want. We want to get it completely done doing that, and then it'll be finished and ready to use for char cloth. I usually just put it in the fire and let the fire burn out and get it tomorrow. So let's talk for just a minute about rocks. So, like I said, the two that I typically use are, the one that I typically use is this, which is chert. It's found a lot down here. It usually looks like that in its natural state. Let me bust a piece off of there. It is a sedimentary rock, which means that it's got a lot of fossils and stuff in it from limestone, things like that. See that? That's not a very good example. That's mostly limestone on the surface. Always wear glasses when you're doing this. But as you get into it, you can see right there, that hard spot, that's actual chert. We're not going to bust all into that rock today. Whenever you get into the rock, you'll see it looks like this. It's a lot like flint in that it fractures very easily. Show you what I mean by that. It's good for making knife blades and things like that in an emergency situation, and Stone Age tools. See, pop off a piece like that, and it's already sharp. You see that? I can absolutely cut leather with that. If I had a piece, I would show you. It's great for making knives, but also it's great for starting fires. Now this is my secondary choice, and this is quartz. This is a big chunk. We find them a lot around here in smaller pebbles and little stones like that. I'll knock a piece off and let you look at that. Now quartz, on the other hand, is more crystalline. You can see that. It doesn't fracture like the chert does, but it's still a very hard stone, and it can knock off enough steel to get it to ignite, and it works just fine. I just prefer to use chert. As you can see, I've got a bucket over here full of things. Some of these were worked by Native Americans and some weren't. That's like a little flake of some sort. That might have been a little flake knife. But those are the two that I typically use anyways. Chert here and quartz. So that took literally about 20 minutes to get this to this point. As you can see, it's charred. It's all carbonized, and you just take a little leaf off like that. This is what you work with, and that's a big piece of char cloth. You really only need about half of that. That's 2 pieces of lumber. It's 2 pieces of char cloth. That's why. Piece about like that, and I'll show you how to put a spark on it here in 1 second. I'll show you that it's very brittle, so you want to kind of be careful with it. And I'll use this piece, show you how to get a spark going. So we've got our rock, which is a piece of chert. You don't need one nearly this size, but this is just what I have on hand because it's what I broke off. Your char cloth and your striker. You're going to put your char cloth directly on the top, and you want to find an edge, a good edge, because like I said, you're trying to shave tiny little microscopic pieces off of this. And what's going to happen is, as those sparks come off, they're going to catch on this char cloth because it's already mostly burnt and ready to catch. Right on top like that. See that already? Then you blow it to get a coal like that. So at this point, you'll put it into a bird's nest of material to get a flame. And we'll show you that. I'll have to do that tomorrow because everything's wet right now and I got to find some. There you go. So I did want to show you real quick that little flake that I just took off earlier. Chert's a very useful thing. You can absolutely skin a deer with a piece of chert if necessary. It's just a simple flake that I cut off, or that I knocked off with a piece of chert in about 2 seconds. I haven't done anything else to it, and it absolutely cuts leather. And this is vegetable tan, this is thick leather, you know. So, fresh meat or anything like that, that's a useful little tool and very easy to make.